Water coasters are my favorite type of water slide. I'm more of an amusement park fan than a water park fan, but if I see a water park has a water coaster style slide, I try to incorporate that water park into my theme park trips. I was actually planning to make a countdown of my favorite water slides, but I quickly decided that the list would be dominated by water coasters. For that reason, I decided to rank those alone. Over the years, I have ridden 21 different water coasters in North America and the U.A.E. In this video, I will count down the top 15 that I have ridden. And before starting that countdown, I want to note that there are 3 notable water parks I have yet to visit in the United States, which have rides that likely would have made this list. First, I have not been to any of the Schlitterbahn parks for rides such as Master Blaster. Second, I have not been to Waterworld in Denver to ride Mile High Flyer. That water slide looks fantastic. Third, I have not been to Volcano Bay to ride Krakatoa yet. All these parks and slides are things I want to experience in the next few years though. Starting off this list at number 15 is Typhoon at Six Flags New England. The closest water coaster to me is the one at my home Six Flags Park's Hurricane Harbor Water Park. Typhoon was the first uphill water coaster from ProSlide, which is clear for 2 reasons. First, this one uses conveyor belts to propel its riders uphill, which is slower and less thrilling than the LIM magnets ProSlide later used. Second, this one has a lot of downtime. But when the slide is open, it has several large drops for a water slide, even though they don't offer airtime like some of the other ones on this list. Number 14, Rendezvous Run at Castaway Bay. Located in one of Cedar Point's hotels, this is a smaller water coaster, but it packs a surprising punch. There are only 2 drops, but both are very steep and give airtime. This slide is good for what it is, but it just can't compete with the longer ones on this list. Number 13, Cheetah Chase at Splashin Safari at Holiday World. The first racing water coaster is a neat concept. The racing element is quite the visual for the initial launch, but it's difficult to appreciate for the rest of the ride because of how soaking the slide is. Because of the water jets this slide uses, a massive wall of water crashes down on you atop every hill. It left me laughing, but it was hard to see the other tubes at that point. The turns are fast-paced thanks to the saucer turns, but this one doesn't have many drops, which does hold it back. The final drop does give a tiny pop of airtime though. Number 12, Breaker's Edge Water Coaster at the Boardwalk at Hersheypark. This is one of the best water coasters for speed. Since the slide uses both LIMs for the uphill segments and saucer turns for the turns, you fly through the layout. And there are several drops as well. However, outside of the first drop, these drops are relatively shallow, so you don't get much in terms of airtime. But this is a nice long ride though. Number 11, Black Anaconda at Noah's Ark. This is another water coaster whose uphill sections are powered by conveyor belts. But unlike Typhoon, most of the drops in this one give teeny tiny pops of airtime. This is another fairly long water coaster with about a half dozen drops, but it just doesn't have the intensity of the slides higher on this list. Number 10, Flood River Flyer at Wild Wadi. This water slide's length is impressive. It clocks in at almost 4 minutes in duration, which is unheard of for a water slide. This slide isn't overly intense, nor does it have the drops like the other versions. What makes this slide special is the fact you're riding in a single tube, so you spin at several points throughout the layout, while also getting to appreciate the beauty of Wild Wadi. Number 9, Whitewater Wadi at Wild Wadi. This is Flood River Flyer on steroids. It's 50% longer and faster. The spinning is more intense on this one, and it results in some really wild transitions between the uphill segments and the turns. This is another one where you won't get any airtime, but the spinning more than compensates. The only downside is that there are several splash pools in between the slide segments that kill the pacing. It's the water slide equivalent to the second lift hill in Twisted Colossus, breaking up the intensity. Number 8, Crushin' Gusher at Typhoon Lagoon. It has been almost 13 years since I last rode this slide, so my memory of it is definitely a bit hazy. But I do remember being blown away by the airtime for a water slide at the time. There are 3 different slides, and I liked the one best that had the quick uphill and downhill segment because it caught me off guard the first time. This slide is a larger and slightly longer version of Rendezvous Run, which is fine by me. Number 7. Deluge at Hurricane Bay at Kentucky Kingdom. Like Typhoon, Deluge was another prototype. This one was the first hydromagnetic powered water coaster. While the uphill sections are much improved, the ride has only been open on one of my 4 visits to the park. But the one time I did ride Deluge, I loved it. The first 4 drops all give some really solid airtime for a water slide. The first 2 in particular are quite tall. Number 6. Storm at Atlantis Aquaventure in Dubai. This water slide caught me completely off guard. Most water coasters are formulaic. Drop, uphill, turn, drop, uphill, turn, etc. Storm starts with 4 straight drops immediately, followed by uphill segments. It was a completely chaotic sequence where I was getting quick pops of airtime, spinning uncontrollably due to the single tube, and being blasted by torrents of water. You then splash down atop the Tower of Neptune slide tower, thinking the ride is over. But you then go through this lazy river, which leads into a decent tube slide bit. Storm earns this place entirely for that crazy first half though. Number 5. Falcon's Falaj at Yas Waterworld. I only rode this one once due to a frustratingly tight weight restriction. Long story short, the upper and lower bounds reported on the website are far tighter in person, and I still don't know exactly what they are. I just know it took several tries to find the right weight combination. But when I did ride it, I loved it. The slide has the larger, circular rafts like Holiday World's Mammoth, and this slide includes 3 steep drops with some great sustained airtime. Plus the uphill bits give tiny pops of airtime. Number 4. RiverRush at Dollywood Splash Country. This is a shorter, more intense version of Splashin Safari's Wildebeest. RiverRush is definitely on the shorter side, but the 3 steep drops all give some amazing airtime. I think it might be the strongest airtime I've felt on any water slide, and that's why it makes the top 5. Number 3. Wildebeest at Splashin Safari at Holiday World. Speaking of Wildebeest, here's the Golden Ticket Award winner for the best water slide year after year. Wildebeest is an incredibly long ride. A few of the drops give some shocking and sustained airtime, most notably the shed drops. The other drops are a bit more inconsistent, and they can give tiny pops of airtime if you're sitting towards the back and have the right weight distribution. The uphill segments can also give teeny tiny pops of airtime if you're sitting towards the front, but I prefer the back for the power of the airtime on those drops. Number 2. Mammoth at Splashin Safari at Holiday World. Located in the same park as Wildebeest, I go back and forth which I prefer, but I think I prefer Mammoth because it's a more chaotic ride due to those larger spinning rafts and the cold water constantly being sprayed in your face. The drops immediately followed by an uphill segment produce the most sustained airtime of any water slide in my opinion, and it's downright terrifying. The other steep drops off the turns give smaller pops of airtime. And number 1 is Toothless's Trickling Torpedo at the DreamWorks Water Park at the American Dream Mall. This water slide gives similar sensations to Wildebeest, but it's more consistent. The airtime has been the same ride to ride and visit to visit. The final 2 drops give some wonderful sustained airtime, while the earlier drops give smaller pops of airtime. And then I just loved the ride's unique layout wrapping around the perimeter of the water park. Most water coasters intertwine among themselves. This slide is just one drop after another with very few turns as filler. So those are my favorite water coasters. What are your favorite water coasters or thoughts on any of the water slides I mentioned? I would love to hear down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a like and you considered subscribing because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.